Imagine you have general AI agent like Manus or Genspark AI, but hosted locally on your machine. So what is general AI agent? A general AI agent is an artificial intelligence system designed to autonomously perceive its environment, set and pursue goals, plan multi-step actions, and execute complex tasks across a wide range of domains without being limited to a single narrow function. Unlike task-specific AI, like a chatbot or image generator, a general AI agent can reason, adapt, learn from experience, coordinate with other agents if needed, and use tools or external resources, such as API, databases, or web search, to complete open-ended objectives based on high-level human instructions. It operates with a degree of independence, self-correction, and iterative refinement, mimicking the flexible problem-solving capabilities of human intelligence, though not necessarily at human-level consciousness or understanding. Current implementations are often termed agentic or proto-general systems, as they exhibit generalist behavior within practical, bounded contexts. Today we're going to talk about a general AI agent, something like Manus or Genspark AI, where you have an agentic platform. You can give it text prompt instructions, very simple ones, and it will autonomously complete the task for you, showing you the progress with planning, multiple steps, multiple agents involved in your task, completing the whole mission, and the Lemon AI. This is a full-stack, open-source, self-evolving general AI agent. It basically can be hosted locally, and they also have their website where you can run it on the cloud. Now, in this video, we're going to, of course, run this locally. How can we use local language models like DeepSeek, Kimi, and Qwen to run as the backend language models for the locally hosted Lemon AI? You can also use cloud API provider language models like Claude, GPT, Gemini, or Grok. And scroll down to the function sections here, where you see deep search, researching, report analyzing, and code generation. This is basically, nowadays, a lot of AI agents or more agentic-enabled feature language models like Minimax M2, Kimi, Grok, and GPT. They've already included those research and analysis features, making the language models more agentic capable. But what I'm seeing here is the general AI agent framework that is not just used for one single task, but it's able to have the agent build it, and it can be evolving. Eventually, it's doing more steps and more tasks, and it will become better and better. So give this project a like. This is a pretty big milestone for having something like this as open source, and we're going to start the process of installing this locally. So, on the official page of Lemon AI, there's a payment plan where you can run this on the cloud. All the fees are basically for the cost of running the cloud agentic process and all the processing of this on the back end. And go to the deployment page here, where you see the guidelines for installing this on Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. For my case, I'm using Windows, so I need to do one more step, which is installing the WSL Ubuntu virtual environment first, before I can run the Docker image of this AI agent. And this requires multiple processes going back and forth in the installation steps. And first of all, you'll be required to have Docker Desktop to run this. So before that, if you want to try this out, make sure you have Docker Desktop installed on your local machine. The next steps we're going to do are setting up WSL2 for our environment and building the environment and settings. We have to pay a little attention to the versioning as well as the compatibility of the environment. So go to the command prompt. On Windows, you can go to your Start search bar and type CMD. And basically, all you need to do is put in this one single line of command by typing WSL-install. Remember, the command prompt window needs to be run as administrator to gain full access for installing this. And right now, as you can see, my current status is downloading Ubuntu. It's not going to take too much space, just a few gigabytes here, and it'll be done really quick. So after you wait for this download, we're going to move on to the next steps to validate that we really have WSL with Ubuntu downloaded in our environment. So make sure you're showing that the WSL version is version 2 on your machine here. So by typing WSL-version, you'll be able to check your current WSL version number. Now, the next steps we're going to do are using WSL in our system. By doing that, you can go to the search bar and type WSL, and it'll show this kind of penguin icon. Pop it up, and you're able to load it. Just double-click on this icon and load another command prompt. Looks like a window here, showing that the first line here provisions the new WSL instance of Ubuntu. So, because this is the first fresh install, so I'll need to create an account for this Unix virtual system. Once you just simply type the account name, username, and password, it'll show you the welcome message. Very general things to go through the Ubuntu system message. Then you'll see that you have the username with the machine's label marked in green. Sign here for your command line input. That's kind of like switching to Ubuntu mode for running your machine here. This is basically what WSL does, having Ubuntu on your Windows OS. So moving on to the next steps, we'll be setting up Lemon AI. We'll have to do a Docker pull to pull the image of Lemon AI's latest version from the sandbox. But before that, we have to verify our WSL is integrated with our Docker desktop first. In your Docker desktop, first, you're going to click on the gear, that's the settings panel. Make sure you have this check mark. By default, Docker Desktop will be enabled to use the WSL2-based engine. This is checked by default in Docker Desktop if it detects you have WSL installed in your system. Then go to the Resources tab. You can verify again in the Advanced section here. Make sure your image location is pointed to the folder area that you want to store. Because, like in my case here, I have multiple hard disks, so I can allocate a dedicated folder on this hard drive to run the Docker image. Lastly, the most important thing we have to check is WSL integration. Make sure you've enabled the integrations by default with the WSL distro and enabled the integration with the Ubuntu instance that we just downloaded and installed in our system. So once again, everything is saved and applied, and we can come back to our WSL command prompt window. We can start with our Docker image download, and before that, you can also check one more time in your WSL command prompt window this Ubuntu instance by checking the Docker version. I've made sure the same Docker that's downloaded in the Ubuntu instance is also pointing to the Docker that I'm actually running on my local machine. You can also try to download a Docker image, Hello World. This is mostly for testing, so we can try that to hold this Hello World testing Docker image. In my case, I have it successfully downloaded and saw it in my Docker. I'm going to move on to the Docker pull, the Lemon AI latest sandbox image. So type this command, it'll download the core features of Lemon AI. There are about 6 to 8 gigabytes in file size here, and sometimes it might fail to request and you just press it one more time. Again, it'll resume from the current download image, so once you download everything, it'll show that, just like the same message you just saw with Hello World. Pull image complete. Next steps, we're going to run this Docker image and define some of the parameters here. So as you can see the parameters here, we've also set up the container in Docker with the name Lemon app and some variables, such as the environment host address. Now, this is important because Docker is hosting some virtual environments inside that Docker image, so it's not going to use the host address as usual, like the local host URL or 127.0.0.1. That kind of default localhost URL is not going to be used by applications running inside Docker. We define that the host Docker internal, this is going to be the localhost address for this Lemon app image to run inside Docker. The first time, it'll initially download some necessary files for this app to run on your machine. So once you see the newer image downloaded for the latest version verified, and we have the local URL appear, we can do one more thing for a safety check. Make sure we've really downloaded this correctly and set it up correctly. Go to your Docker desktop software and check the Containers and Images tab. Make sure in the Images tab you have this Lemon image downloaded and it's marked in green. So that means it's available to run in your controlled container. And the container, as you can see, has the localhost URL and the port numbers. So click that. That means we've successfully installed this locally. So again, in your web browser, it'll show this localhost, whatever port number you defined, and /lemon load it, and the first time you load it, it'll show a pretty empty page of a chatbot. It looks like a UI here, nothing really available or visible because it's all empty. And for the models here, as you can see, there's nothing set up yet. So we need to do some configurations before we're actually able to use this. For the MCP options here, you can integrate an MCP server to localhost. Lemon AI acts as the client of this MCP server. Now, I'll cover MCP in later videos because there's another more in-depth topic we can play around with, and it's pretty fun actually using MCP. In this video, we're just starting to use general AI agents like Lemon AI. We'll go for the basics first. Go to Settings first of all. Of course, the system will prompt you. The dialog here shows you that you need to modify it. Just do the settings for models. Select whatever model service provider that you have as well. We're going to the model service. Click the Model Service tab. You'll see that by default, the Lemon AI models are turned on, but you need to have your login on the official Lemon AI page in order to use this, and this costs fees as well. And if you're playing with local installations, of course you have other options, such as using Allama or LM Studio to host your own language models. That's the most common way to do a local host setup. And of course, you also have OpenRouter, which aggregates all kinds of big-size language models, any AI models that it can aggregate using the OpenAI API framework. OpenRouter will be available with that as well, so you can go sign up for OpenRouter if your local GPU is kind of low for hosting your language models. Using OpenRouter is another optional way to have multiple language models used in the same space in Lemon AI. So create your API key and you're ready to go with OpenRouter. I won't go into too many tedious detail steps for OpenRouter. It's just a website. You go register and get your API keys. That's all it is. For Allama here, now, here's something different. By default, the API address setting is labeled as localhost here, but since we're using Docker's internal web UI, we'll have to change the API address later on. But first, we'll need a model in the Allama engine to process a language model to plug into Lemon AI for the agentic workflow. So by doing this, we're going to the Allama official site and seeing what kind of language model is suitable for the things I need to work on. So for example, Qwen 3 Coder. This is something that's suitable for what I need because I build some landing pages for marketing purposes, I build some scripts for video ads, etc. Qwen 3 Coder is kind of suitable for what I need for this daily task. And the 30BFP16 parameter size model fits pretty well for my GPU. The size is only 61 gigabytes, fits into my GPU without a problem. So I'm going to choose this one. But before going to the Allama pull to download that language model, don't close this WSL console. Leave it as it is. Because this is running Lemon AI in the backend, we're going to use another command prompt window to pull Allama and download Qwen 3 Coder in Allama. Basically what you do is just open another command prompt window, paste that Allama run command that I just copied from the official site, and you can also check one more time in Allama installed locally if there are any language models available to use. So in this case, I'm going to type Allama list. This command is going to show a list of language models on your local machine. In this case, I don't have any language models downloaded yet. I just got the embed text model, so I'm going to download Qwen 3 Coder with this command prompt. And once again, don't follow exactly what I download for the language model. It depends on your GPU, how much VRAM you have, or how big a language model your GPU can handle if you really want to run everything locally on your machine. Otherwise, if you're lacking GPU power, you'll want to use a cloud provider for the language models and leave the rest of the GPU processing power for Lemon AI to do its job later on. Once I finish pulling that Qwen Coder language model and it finishes downloading, you'll see that it shows the chat message after pulling the language model. But we're not going to use the command prompt window to chat with the Qwen Coder language model. We're going to move back to Lemon AI, which has a rich interface with our agentic features to play around with here. So come back to Lemon AI. We basically have all the ingredients we need to run this AI agent locally. And before that, I used OpenRouter and linked it with Minimax to try a marketing website designer job role. So it tried to redesign a company website, rephrase some of the text and wording, and also redesign the website structure. I kind of just instructed the AI to focus only on the main page in this task, so it's done. Also, I paused the process in the middle on purpose and gave additional information, so we'll see. I just wanted to test how this AI works, if it's able to check my additional info when I pause its progress and then rethink and recalculate what it needs to do. And it worked here. It understood that I attached an HTML page, and it's going to base its next actions on that additional information and edit whatever it was currently doing. The Design Architecture Plan, HTML, is the ongoing editing page the AI agent is working on, and you also see a lot of planning and to-do lists written by the Lemon AI editor. Well, what I mean by editor is that this is one of the roles within this team of AI agents. It can have multiple AI agents working together. As you can see, after all these steps, the to-do lists, the planning, and the HTML generated, and also here, at the final step, it generated the final HTML with 8 additional files. All those files show the strategy and some of the planning behind what it did. And of course, we want to check the final main page, how it looks. So maximize the preview page here and you'll see, yes, it completed what I wanted to do at the beginning and also incorporated the additional information I provided when I interrupted the AI's work mid-process and uploaded an extra HTML file. So it followed the content direction I wanted for this main page web design. And everything here is editable by yourself too. Since this is an HTML editor, you're able to do your own editing or co-edit with the AI agent as well. And one thing I want to show is the documentation it produced. It shows different phrases, like stages of development, on this web design task. Basically, it also uses different labels and word rephrasing throughout the process. The cool thing is, I saw the primary CTA, the call to action button for this landing page, as well as some other enhanced text labels after the architecture design draft it created. So as you see, there are different HTML files here because it started from the architecture planning as a draft, then moved on to another stage, and so on and so forth. After multiple stages of enhancement, the final page was generated, and you can see some labels. The wording is different here, it's more general purpose, and especially at the end, it says things like cutting-edge technology and uses very techie terms, which, for marketing people, they won't be able to understand what you're talking about. On the design architecture draft page, it mentioned things like JavaScript, Python, and AI, compared to what you just saw on the final page, which is totally different. When you check the design architecture page, that's the in-progress design of this main page. The wording and labels are more obviously not refined yet. JavaScript, Python, technical terms, very techie things that regular people might not understand. So it also rephrased those labels in the final page, as you can see right here. Just, more relevant for online marketers to understand. Those kinds of terms that non-techie people can grasp. Oh, this is related to those technologies. Just kind of one example showing that it rephrased things in the final step. Okay, so we're going to try another workflow using the locally hosted Qwen 3 coder that I just downloaded. This time, we won't use MCP or web search yet, but we'll integrate that later when we need to. In this upcoming task, I'm going to, let's say, create a file full of short stories for AI video generation. Let's say this will be more in-depth content, rather than just asking a language model to generate a few thousand words of average quality text prompts, the kind you'd get by directly requesting ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever language model you use, with no real progression or development at all. We have to make sure our Alama is connected correctly with Lemon AI to allow this AI framework to work using our Qwen 3 coder for processing. Now, based on this, we kind of understand the concept. AI agents use language models as the backbone, like a car, where the engine is the language model, and all the other stuff working around that engine is the AI agent framework, which in this case is Lemon AI running the vehicle. So we need Alama set up correctly. This is very important if you're running AI agents locally. So as you can see the API address here, we need to use host.docker.internal for the local host address rather than using the generic localhost or 127.0.0.1. That won't work because this is hosted inside the Docker image, which treats it like a separate environment. Then we click the check button to make sure the language model API calls are successful. That's the key thing we need to verify here. Then we can go back and choose our Qwen 3 coder and start playing around with our next AI agent workflow, which will autonomously handle multiple tasks right on our local machine. Let's say I'm going to define this as a task-oriented chat with tools. So I have a very simple text prompt here. It all depends on the keywords you define in the prompt. And anyway, we're going to request an AI short film theme in this upcoming task. Ask the AI to create a storyline, voiceover script, scene descriptions, image prompts, and video text prompts for each scene. So it's just starting, beginning the progress, analyzing what kind of tasks it needs to do, step by step. In the meantime, I've also tested other workflow, like analyzing the stock market with this prompt. I defined it to analyze Tesla, including technical analysis and indicators for the stock market, and also used a web-based analyzer report to generate an investment strategy. Now, this kind of thing isn't giving you actual investment advice, like telling you to put your money into a stock. It's just generating a data report. And that's exactly what AI agents are good at, gathering information and presenting data in a clear, organized way. The data here is all labeled as loading, but actually it has embedded labels bound to JSON files in the backend, and all that data comes from these Python scripts you see here, which gather the information and bind it onto the web pages. Okay, so coming back to the AI short film storyline creation, this task just completed, and as you can see, we got a lot of content. Not just a few thousand words of storyline or image generation prompts, which is what you'd typically get from basic language models. If you directly chat with a language model like that, you'll get a pretty raw response. But here, because we're using an AI agent workflow, the agent is working step by step, autonomously creating a full breakdown of the storyline. And also, this is pretty fun, it gave me a production guide, how to set things up, what phases to go through, etc. And here's the cool thing I just noticed. The character building process here isn't just giving you a list of character names, ages, hair colors, those generic details. Instead, it's showing full files with a big list of detailed attributes, plus AI-generated text prompts for each character. So we can play around with those text prompts to generate high-quality images for each specific character. And of course, you can add other supporting characters too. And for each scene, there's video narrative, native neural descriptions, and very detailed AI video generation prompts, step by step. The content here is so structured that you could just copy and paste each text prompt into an AI video generator to make your video. But of course, I don't think using an AI short frame generator like this, with a very generic storyline created entirely by AI, is ideal. So if you really want to use AI agents to create content for you, it's better to provide a brief, like an introduction or executive summary. In this case, give it one page of information about what you want to do and attach that with your text prompt. That way, it'll follow your intended storyline and build additional content on top of that. This is just a demo, so I kept it quick and let the AI create the storyline on its own. AI agents are pretty cool to play around with, beyond just AI videos and AI images. I feel like it's kind of boring to always talk about those. With autonomous AI use, we can start integrating AI agents with our existing AI tools, like Comfy UI workflows as tools and integrating into a system. That'll make your thing way more meaningful. And because of the AI trend, it have been making my work more efficient, freeing up time to create more stuffs. That's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice day. See ya.